Hey, and welcome back to the Wicked Wild podcast, week 4 of Camp Wicked Wild. We've had plenty of wiener talk up to this point. Got a hoot of a talk to come with Deathgasm. Before we get into that, I want to welcome you all back. It's a big night for several reasons. One of them, and I don't even know if my crew know this yet, but this is our 50th movie review as family. This is the 50th movie review of the Wicked Wild podcast, and who better to share it with than our buddy Joe? So we're going to introduce him here in just a minute. But before I do that, I do want to talk to our hosts. We're going to start with Eli up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. How's it going, Eli?
Oh, living the dream, just living it.
So as I'm watching this movie, I had to check in with you because there may be some emotional trauma that came from the watching of this movie. But what are your thoughts on the way that the D&D world as a whole was depicted in this particular film?
I wish I could say it's exaggerated and not true, but I have sat with players like that. And I too have wanted to beat them with dildos. So I get it. It's one of those things where I'm like, nah, but you know what? Because you know what the problem is like anytime someone watches Stranger Things, they're like, oh, is that how D&D works? I'm like, oh, sweet summer child. No, it's
much, much worse.
Yeah, it's only fun about 50% of the time. And it's because of the realistic interpretation of what occurs in this movie.
Yeah, it's 80% procedural.
Yep.
20% fantasy. So.
Yep. And 10%, which is an extra 5% on there of just people saying the dumbest shit like, I'm going to sleep with the dragon. You're like, okay. All right. You're a human. You're okay. Cool. Yeah. Funny. We're all laughing.
Well, I thought of you when I saw that scene. And of course, obviously his correction of the plural of die,
so. made me want to kick him in a, maybe it's the same thing. Like a lot, which for anybody out there, I play D&D. Also play Magic, MTG or Magic Gathering. I don't know what it is, but it's like there's an integration of those assholes. It's like, oh, let me grab my dice. He technically wouldn't die in the bed. It's like, oh, shut up, or I'll beat you to death. You big fucking nerd.
All right.
I said it.
And we've got our Michigan representative, John. How's it going, John?
It's going. Excited for this one. I haven't seen this movie in forever.
So I am interested because I do know that you're a music guy. Music is a big part of your self-definition, your identity. So I did want to ask you, what is your prize tour tee that you had in high school? What was your favorite, legit piece of street cred?
Street cred? I don't know if I ever had any street cred, I'll be honest, but I had a couple Misfits shirts. Okay. That was about it. I mean, in terms of horror theme, the rest were just punk or I guess Slipknot was in there. Okay. I was part of that generation.
So what was the best tour concert you went to? Was it a Misfits?
No. I did not ever get to see the Misfits, but I did go to Ozfest, so that's probably about as close in terms of metal or good show.
Who was playing at your Ozfest?
1999. Slipknot was there. It was their first time I ever saw them, and they're brand new. Black Sabbath played. And System of a Down. Those were the most notable ones. Oh, Static X, if you ever remember that band.
I think I went to the same one in Camden outside of Philly.
I think I went in 98. Oh, but then Joe and I would have been in the same one in Camden. I went to Marilyn Manson one, whichever one he was at.
I don't think I was at that one.
I think that was the year before.
It might have been 98.
And then 10 years later, I went to my first one.
Wow. I don't even know what that was like.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, not as good as probably as when you guys went.
That's when we went.
There were some very tired people after a half a song.
I was going to say, was Miley Cyrus at yours?
No, she was not. She was filming Hannah Montana in those days. So,
and then the other voice you heard coming in there is our buddy Jamie up in New York. How's it going, Jamie?
Going well.
So I think this came up both in our Piranha and it certainly came up in our Scouts Guide conversation when you were talking about your Scout experience and those were not your friends and it was kind of more alienating than fun.
Yep.
So my question for you, because you've kind of defined or you've shared a lot about the crew that you hung around with in high school. So would your crew, would they have synced up with this crew of Misfits? Would y'all have hung out together?
In high school?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I was one level we weren't death metal. So we were more in the punk skater crew.
Okay.
But
still the right kind of misfit.
But there is crossover into metal. Like I said, I was at Ozfest. Like there's that crossover of rock into certain, so yes, I'm trying to actually think if any of my friends did look exactly like this. And I'm sure there had to have been one or two. I was actually going to send you guys. I just went through my phone and found a picture of me in the 90s, and I'm wearing a Marilyn Manson shirt. It's Halloween, and I'm wearing a Marilyn Manson shirt. I know I'm wearing giant jeans, but it's not in the picture. And lipstick similar to what of course they were. And lipstick similar to what I'm wearing right now. And I was going to send it to all you guys because as we were watching this movie, I just found it funny that I found that picture of me in the 90s. But
well, if you're comfortable with it, I would love to have that for our promotion of this.
Oh no, I don't think that's okay.
It's for my own personal.
You guys can see it.
That's just for us. Okay.
We'll see. Maybe. It's really not that bad. So
and then as I mentioned or teased at the top, we do have our special guest host this week that you've heard before on several other episodes. We've got Joe Charnews from Small Town Failing. How's it going, Joe?
Oh, I'm wonderful. How you guys doing?
We're doing very well. And
John, I got to see the Misfits twice. Wow. The first time was the last show at CBGB's. The night before.
Wow.
Yeah. It was a big thing.
Now there's some street cred for you right there.
Yeah. Exactly. He's dropping all kinds of names.
But that was also like the later years of them without Glenn Danzig, and like it was,
You don't have to say that.
Yeah.
Now because I've never been there, but I've heard legend. But is CBGB's just a literal hole in the wall? Like I've heard,
I mean, it was a dive bar. It's like some like high end retail. I mean, Jamie, you probably know better than I do, like what it is now. But it's, I think, some like expensive like boutique fashion.
I don't know what it became, but I can Google it for you right now. I'm sure I've walked past it while like.
I hope it's a vintage Jenko jeans dealer.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of like documentaries on it and stuff. And there is that like movie that they put out a while back, which was not very good. But like, yeah, there was no like dressing room or anything. It was literally the men's room, like where the bands got ready. It was, it was a whole thing. It was nice.
It was like, from what I understand, it was like the East Coast Viper room. It was the same kind.
Yeah, but I think a lot more disgusting.
Yeah, a lot more dark. But yeah. So for those that are listening to this episode, because you're a rabid fan and follower of Joe's stuff that he does on Small Town Failing with Lifetime and Hallmark, what you may not know, what we might be revealing tonight, and for those that know him from the horror community, probably already know this, but Joe is a subject matter expert on all things metal, and
it's tough.
We got photographic proof of a lot.
I was about to say, you're talking about my picture. Are we bringing out Joe's picture for this? Because that's more important.
Well, and that's legit one of the questions I've had because I've seen his skill at corpse paint. Like
I'll find the picture while we're talking.
Yeah.
I want to say like 4 or 5 years ago, my sister-in-law actually, she went to college for like theater and all that fun and a lot of like makeup design. A few years back, I got her to do actually based off of Abbott, who used to be in Immortal, which is, I think there's an Emperor song in this or something, which was like adjacent to Immortal. But big fan of the whole thing.
Well, we'll talk about it more, but I'm pretty sure the music video, quote unquote, in the woods is pretty much a jab at Immortals.
It is. Yeah. Actually, the whole and it's like their first video. It's amazing, and it's kind of this goof, and there's a lot of like even memes of like just them and their corpse paint, like kind of peeking around corners and stuff. Like one guy has like a witch's hat on. Look it up. It's a thing of beauty.
They were high energy. So my question for you though was, as far as corpse paint's concerned, what are your thoughts? Is it passe in the subgenre at this point, or does it still have a place in the art form?
Oh no, I love it. I think it's great. Like I think it's, it's weird. Like I didn't used to listen to a lot of black metal, but I kind of got fascinated with it after reading this book, The Lords of Chaos, which they actually ended up making a movie about. The movie focuses on some of the murders that happened in Norway and things like that. But the book itself is just a lot of the history, and it gets into like Viking metal and all that stuff. And so like, as I'm reading it, I start listening to these bands, like as they're talking about it, and like progressively got more and more into it. So Yeah, it's interesting because I like the music, but I'm also kind of fascinated in a way that like you get fascinated in like cults and things like that.
Yeah. With the culture that goes around it.
Yeah, because it in some ways it totally is. And especially back then in Norway, like when all this stuff was happening, like it was like a small little cult. So it's yeah. Oh, I'm all in. I enjoy it.
Well, before we get into the actual review, I do have to hand off to Eli. He's going to give us a quick rundown of this week's terrifying apocalyptic news in a little segment we call The Wicked Whispers.
Well, surprisingly, there actually wasn't a ton of news this week with everything that's going on in the real world between what's happening in Gaza and Ukraine and all that stuff. So like it was kind of quiet. There was a few little key stories here. A lot of people are concerned because agents of NASA went down to Mexico to look at those alien dead bodies and or mummies, and no one's talking about it. And people are like, well, hey, we were supposed to, they said when they went down there and looked at them that they were going to give a status update to American people by the end of last week. And no one's heard anything. They haven't said a word. So people are concerned about that because they're like, hey, were those real aliens? Were they not? What the fuck were they doing? Meanwhile, at the same time, the folks in South America, that village, they're still being like, hey, we're being attacked by these aliens in jetpacks every night. The police are still saying it's miners and jetpacks. So that's still going on. No one is sending anybody to check in on it, what people don't understand. But hey, what do I know? Also, more of those gold, what they're calling egg sacs now. Those open, what they think maybe egg sacs or egg pearls in the ocean. More of those are washing up. Anybody's like, do we know where they're coming? What came out of them? Once again, people are just like, I don't know. They're like, I don't know. Besides South Carolina having that mean Bigfoot, Colorado, there's people reporting there that a Bigfoot's like been fucking people up, like throwing rocks at them and shit. So now we got 2 Bigfoots who've just had enough of everyone's shit, and they're out for blood. And the final fun little tale I have for you here this week is the comet, the satellite that went out to that comet and got samples. The scientists are like, oh, hey, we found water on it and carbon. And so presumably wherever this came from probably had life. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. They're like, can you tell us where it came from? And they can't classify that yet. So that's weird. Either they can't classify because it's declassified, or because they don't know. They're just using fancy words because they're still trying to cover the fact that no one will tell us what happened to those fucking alien corpses in Mexico. But yeah, that's all that's going on this week.
They probably got refurbished and repurposed at the Universal Studios, right?
Yeah, I was wondering. Like they're like, well, it's October. We need some haunted houses. We're having trouble getting some stuff. So yeah, we'll just slap them up on a wall for now, and we'll resume this in November.
I don't know why, but I'm more uncomfortable when you said egg pearls than I was egg sac. Like egg sac made me uncomfortable, and then you said egg pearls. And I was like,
he knows what he's doing.
Hey,
it's worse.
Listen. There was sometimes you talk to like water ecologists, whatever. Like they'll call them like certain small fish. They'll call them pearls.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, Joe, and you've probably not experienced this, but a lot of times on our campfire tales, Eli gets really heavy into these double entendres that gets kind of annoying. Like, but he's always making these sexual statements.
There is literally 2 episodes in a row where every word out of your mouth was a double entendre. Wow.
Like he's kind of pent up. And
wow. Hey.
We're working through it, Joe, is what I'm saying.
I feel like Eli's about to start yelling at me that like the fluoride's making the frogs gay or something.
Listen, well, okay, first off, everything I say is based in facts. I'm not Alex Jones. Everything I say is based in fact.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like an Alex Jones prequel we're a part of right now.
Listen,
that reference has been made several times.
It has, but the difference is I talk about the real truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, his biggest concern with the frogs is where they keep their magic wands. That's the
that was a thing.
We've been through that. Their pockets or whatever.
They may have a pocket in us.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for giving us the update. I'm glad it's been a down week. I do appreciate the potential imminent World War III might have that impact on the paranormal news cycle. So I guess that's the silver lining of everything else that's going on in the world right now.
Like I said, they people are pointing out to, well, hey, a couple months ago we did see Mothman over there. So
told you so.
Yeah, like
Where do you get your
Didn't you
news?
Yeah, don't,
Listen,
don't.
I
please don't go there.
could take you some places. Okay, I could take you some
It's
places.
mostly TikTok and then
Yeah.
some other
It's
random
only about 35% of it is TikTok.
thing.
Only 30%.
This is
Only
so
35% of it's TikTok.
You only thought 4chan was dead.
If I saw like whatever algorithm you have, Eli, I don't think I'd go to
No.
sleep at night.
Mary have come in multiple times, and we're like sitting there, and we're both just like vegging, just scrolling through TikTok, and she has come in multiple times where I flicked like 2 or 3 videos in a row, and she's like, "Why? Why are they like? What are you doing?" I'm like, "You don't want to know."
I do, like, my wife, a lot of hers is like true crime and stuff like that. And like, meanwhile, I'm next to her, like, oh, look, gardening tips, like, and like beekeeping, and there's a lot of like baking. Like, I like TikTok to like make me feel nice, and like, then there's the opposite, which is just like everything awful.
Yeah.
Everybody screaming in your face.
Yeah.
That's the part that Eli likes. And I have to admit, and I think Jamie and John have probably had the same experience. Unfortunately, the rest of us have secondhand contact taint on our search engine algorithms.
Luckily, I don't get that much yet.
Yeah.
I
Just wait. If you want me to start texting, because my
Nope.
friend and I have a
No,
game
please
where
don't.
we try to send each other stuff, and
Nope.
both our algorithms are just gone now.
yeah, I don't know.
Like they're just done.
My
Like, you-
algorithm is just dogs, and you know what? I
I
like
get
a lot of
it.
that.
It's a lot of just animals and dog videos, and let's just keep it
Nope.
that way.
Nope. I don't have one of this. I wish
I
I haven't tell you the last time I saw a dog video on TikTok.
Oh, I got a
Well, I
lot of
don't use
Dave's
TikTok,
algorithm.
so
Yeah. Me and John pass a lot of stuff back and forth. So a lot of dad joke energy on our
It's really good.
I like that.
So we're going to get into our movie review. If you don't remember, at the top of the episode, I did say we're going over 2015's Deathgasm. And as we do on the podcast, we're going to our On the Fly Synopsis, where one of our lovely hosts, including me, potentially, is going to have to give a quick synopsis of the movie with no preparation. And since we've got Joe as our special guest, he's going to be my interviewee.
Oh, yeah.
Question for you today, Joe, is we know that you love a lot of different metal subgenres and music in general. You just love music. So which of the following has the most representation in your running playlist?
Oh, I like this one. Yeah, go for it.
Is it new metal, speed metal, groove metal, or metalcore?
these are all
Ooh.
different things.
They're very different. They're very different.
And if I'm one of them, there's one. If I am it, I'm
Oh,
gonna be
Eli,
so mad.
stop it.
I'm gonna be
There's
so
always
mad.
one that would make you mad.
I don't even know what these are. I can't even get insulted if I tried.
What was the last one? Metalcore?
Yeah.
I need to look up what that is.
He's
I'll be
Googling
honest.
them. Just pick one.
There's not. What was the second one? It's not new metal.
Speed.
Speed. It's probably speed metal. And to be honest, I don't listen to a ton of that, but the others I don't. I hardly listen to any.
Okay.
New metal I have on like my running playlist, the like random stuff. But Leslie, my wife, has like strict instructions. If I ever drop dead on a run, like the first thing she has to do is like delete some of that stuff. So yeah, speed metal. A lot of Slayer, a lot of Anthrax, like the older stuff. So yeah, I would go with that.
Fair enough. I think in mine it's mainly the groove, the 90s Pantera groove, not the new.
There you go.
stuff they're doing.
Yeah, them I got to see too, like probably 5 or 6 times.
Oh, cool.
Before they broke up. Yeah.
Well, our speed metal contestant is John. So tell us about.
Wow. Eli, are we offended?
No, yeah, because I
He
think
doesn't
I'm
know.
new metal. I think I'm new metal, and that's offensive.
Just be angry. No matter. It doesn't matter what I
Yeah,
do.
it
Just
doesn't
be
matter.
angry.
You're angry. Just
I am
take it.
angry.
I know you are. That's why. Just
Yeah,
go with it.
well.
Just ride it.
We're just ride the lightning, man. So, okay, Deathgasm. So we got our key protagonist, Brody, who lost his mother to a meth bender and a sucking off incident, like as you do, normal teenage experience.
Fucking
And-
off incident.
And so
That's
he
a
has to move. It is. That was something. I totally forgot about that part. And I was like, this is a good way to start a movie. So he's moving with his uncle, super Christian uncle, with a lot of sex toys we learn about later, which is another interesting battle scene. And he meets Zach and a couple of D&D fellows, and they form a band. And then once Deathgasm is formed, they found some old metal guy in his house. He's living underground, who has the black hymn, and they summon a bunch of demons. And as Eli would say, shenanigans ensue, and demons come to Earth.
They sure do. And there are phalluses aplenty. But we'll get into that here in a minute. So thank you, John. We're going to let our special guest kick us off. Joe, I know it's not first time seeing this, but what were your initial thoughts and your latest watch? Have they changed?
Wait, I'm going to interrupt for 1 second. It's nobody here's first time, right? We've all seen this before.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Okay, Joe.
It feels like the first time. Yeah, so I saw this when it first came out. We actually reviewed it for Bloody Good Horror, and I really enjoyed it when it first came out. I think what I loved most is a lot of movies like this, and even just like TV shows, right? Anytime there's like a metal guy, there's like a sideways Metallica poster on his wall, and it's like, oh, like he's edgy. Like I remember there was an episode of what was it, Saved by the Bell, when Lisa, I think, started dating what the hell's her name? The one that did the stripping. You know what I'm talking about?
Jesse Spano.
Yep.
Yeah. Like her cousin or something was in town, and like he was like metal, and I remember he had like a Misfits poster on his wall, and like that's how you knew. But like this, the director and the writer, who are the same person, Jason Howden, I think is his name. He really enjoys the music, and like we talked about in the beginning, like there's kind of that nod to Immortal and a lot of like, you know, the like original black metal folks, and the movie, and they say it like on IMDb too, like it's definitely a take on Evil Dead, right? Like it's very similar. So I really enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I remember I even had it, I think number 2 or 3 on my year-end list, and Jason like picked that up, and I remember posting that like it was our number 3 movie of the year. You know, that being said, over the years, I've seen it a couple more times. I think Joe Bob did it. And then I did rewatch it before we started recording here. And it's lost a little bit of its luster for me. And, you know, I think we've all kind of read about, or maybe not, like Howden's outside the movies activities, which taints things a bit. But you know, I think the actors are great. I really enjoy them, especially the lead actor and actress. I think they're a lot of fun to watch, and there's still a lot of really funny things in there. You know, I think over time I've kind of lost my love for like dildo humor, and like, you know, and it's like, all right, it's funny the first time, but now you're doing it for like the 8th time in this movie. Like, I get it. So, you know, I still enjoyed it. I still like the movie, but it's probably not as high on my list as the first couple times I saw it.
Yeah, it doesn't age through the number of watches as well.
Yeah,
not necessarily time, although it wouldn't age on time right now either, but it's not something you watch over and over again, like Evil Dead or something like that. No, I agree. All right, John.
Oh,
what are your thoughts?
Well, this is my second time I've seen it. I watched it with Joe Bob for the first time. I had never heard of it until Joe Bob had it on. And then, and I don't remember it like resonating as much. I kind of was just like, meh, okay. This time I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. It was like very, high school experience, not necessarily all with the metal kids all the time, but you knew those metal kids. The D&D didn't cross over to like the metal kids I knew. So it was a little bit different, but yeah, the record shop was, if you haven't had that record shop experience before, I feel for you, because you missed out on some like classic awkward, like where you're like looking for a friend and you find a friend because like, okay, we like the same kind of music. That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's weird and it's awkward.
Yeah. John, I'm sure you run into this too. Like, when you are like making a friend as an adult and you're like, oh, you like metal too? And it's like, I think because of what we were saying too, like Dave brought up a good point. There's like all these different genres. So like you say metal and you're like, yeah, I like it a lot. And then the person's like, oh yeah, me too. I love Disturbed. And I'm like,
that's such the same.
Which is fine if that's your thing, but it's like, oh no, that's not mine. So like
Poison is still the best band ever, you know?
Oh.
If you ask my mom, they are.
Your mom and I feel like have a lot
Joe
in
knows
common.
that. Joe and my mom are like, you know, they need to hang out.
I would love to
Been
go to
through
a
this.
Poison concert just cause.
I've been. It was one of my first concerts in first grade.
That was my second. It was Poison, Warrant, and Bullet Boys.
Yeah, it was
Oh,
one
wow.
of my first. It wasn't the first, but it was early. It was second
Yeah.
grade or first.
Only
grade.
Rat was there. Oh, but no, I enjoy this movie. This is a good time. I enjoyed it a lot more than I was expecting. The metal fantasies where he goes off into his own little land, where I was like, yeah, I don't think I've had that exact vision in my head when I'm listening to music, but something pretty close.
Yeah. It's a teen boy moment for sure.
Yeah, no, it's good. I can't wait to hear what Eli has to say. I'll be honest, because I was like, if he likes this movie, I don't know what's going to happen.
We have been.
I think he does. Why are we making that face? Like,
I think we've been 0 for 3 for Camp Wicked Wild so far. I think we have yet to have one that he actually likes. So Eli, chime in. What do you think?
When this first came out, I like this movie a lot. There's actually a guy I went to high school with. We were we grew up in a very country, rural, religious area. I was one of like 7 emo kids. And like we joked that, and we played D&D, which was also considered devil worship by Mr. Pat Robinson, who was a deity in our town. And so like we joked that was us. Like we were like we obviously didn't dress like as far as in the movie, but like that's how like the town saw us. It's kind of funny, but I loved it. I liked the humor. I liked everything. I'm kind of the same fence where it's been probably a couple years since I watched it, and like not all the jokes or like the lines used to make me laugh or maybe laugh like they used to. And there are some lines, I think the only reason made me laugh is the New Zealand accent is so heavy in parts of this that I think I just laugh because of how they say lines. And like so much so, like even the devil at the end, his New Zealand accent is so heavy you can barely understand what he's saying. And I laughed the whole time, like the whole 2 minutes he's in the movie, just because of how heavy that accent is. So like it's weird. Like there are still some funny lines on their own. I still like it is very Evil Dead, which I like. A lot of blood and like the kills are cool. Their uses of dildos, some of them were pioneer for the day of what they were doing. I think they may be the first film with double dildo through the ear death scene. I don't think we've ever seen that, before.
It takes a courageous filmmaker to
it does.
make the decisions he's made here.
It does. But like even now, like I still enjoyed it. I found this time around, like I thought the beginning kind of dragged on a little bit, like the setup. And like, and once again, like some of the jokes land, some of them didn't for me anymore. I think like, cause like every other line's a dick joke. And like, it's like, all right, well, okay.
Wow, Eli.
I know, right? Like it's just like I feel like too much of a good thing. You know what I mean? But then again, some of them, even if they weren't funny, I laughed at because their New Zealand accent was so heavy, and like they're like, "Oh, I'm a dick," and I'm like, "What are we doing?" But I still,
it's hard to sound evil with that, right? Like
that. Tell me, any of you understood a single word that Demon said? It, like when he became the demon at the end.
Subtitles.
Yeah,
okay. I'm too old. I have to. And with accents, Eli, to your point, I have to. I cannot watch a movie with accents without subtitles.
Especially, like I get the prosthetic was heavy, but like the prosthetic was heavy and his accent was so heavy. You just all I heard was like me and like Eminem and like you're like what is like all right.
Cool. And he has a mouthful of demon teeth.
Right. And so like
no
it just,
holes.
I laughed that whole time. And like it's kind of crazy because like the reason I even watched this movie, at the time there was a show called Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. I don't know if you watched it. It was like Canada did like a TV show that was kind of like this. And then like this movie came out and like it I was like I kind of followed the trail because they ended up canceling Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. And but yeah, I like it. I don't think I like it as much as I used to, but I still like it. I enjoyed it.
You didn't mind spending the time with it again?
Yeah, I didn't mind.
Fair enough. All right, Jamie. You've referenced this movie several times.
I have, and I think this is my third watch. Although everybody's saying that Joe Bob did it, I'm confused because I thought I watched it. This could be my fourth. I don't know because like I could have watched it on my own, then I feel like the second time I watched it was also my own. But if Joe Bob also did it, then that would make it. It does not matter. This is the fourth time.
I think this is an important fact that we need to sort out.
Yeah, exactly how many times. Shut up, Joe.
Yeah, let me get my notebook out here.
I was a little hesitant to watch it for this third or fourth time, thinking like, has it been outplayed? You know, like everybody's saying, kind of. I will say at this time, because when I watch these, I try to be a little bit more critical because we're watching it for this and take notes. Yes, I agree. It's a little slow to start, that I didn't remember that. But I like the lead guy so much that I kind of don't mind the setup, because I like his facial expressions. I like his little one-liners. Like, he's kind of adorable in this misfit way. Like, it's just like, I don't know. I don't mind it. It is slow and it takes a while to get going, but like, I don't mind it. And because I'm enjoying him so much and his like interactions, it is 100% a modern Evil Dead. Granted, it's almost 10 years old now, but you know what I mean. Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. It is 100% the same humor. And I don't even mean that as like it's copying. I mean, it is, but it does it well. But if you like that humor, this movie is exactly that humor. I compared it when we did Scout's Guide. Watching this again, I absolutely think they are such a similar movie. But for me, this one lands where that one doesn't. Right. And for example, we said so much in Scout's Guide, there was no humor about being a fucking scout, like, or doing anything. This movie is all about metal or cliches and the genre and the music and Satanism being equated with it. Like, it's just all about that. And it's just, it does it correctly. It uses what it says it's going to use and follows it through the whole movie. And I think fairly well. I think we say this a lot about a lot of movies, and I think it's perfect for this camp. Like, I think this still is a great background watch or friend watch. Like, I still think it's fucking funny. I wrote down a few things. I mean, like, it might be one of the first, not maybe first, but scenes of gore when he chops the head off and he tells him to fucking do it again. Yeah. And the guy picks it up. Like,
oh my God. Yeah.
That's like, that scene alone just cracks me up because it's gory, but it's a comedy. So, and we all know, we've discussed it, it's very hard to find horror comedy. Yeah. I'm not saying this is genius level horror comedy, but again, it's slapstick and outranks like Scout's Guide and some of these that try to hit this. I think this one does it better.
That scene in the one where I think it's the brother-in-law or whatever walks in and cuts his head off.
That's the cousin. That's my other scene. That's my favorite death. Just because, and he just goes, he goes, I'm pretty sure he wasn't possessed. And he goes, oh, he was. He was.
Yeah. He's like talking about Satan and stuff. Yeah.
You didn't hear that? No.
As soon as he walks in, he just kills it. He just kills him. Yeah, the movie's fucking funny. I don't know. And you know what? I don't tire of dildo jokes and fighting with a dildo. I still laugh at fucking it's not Borat, it's the other one, Bruno, when he fucking tries to fight with a dildo.
Oh my God.
Every time I watch it, I will laugh at that scene.
Jimmy, let me stop right there. I never said I was tired of the dildo scenes. I just said all the dick
Joe
jokes.
did.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Dildo humor is always funny.
Calm down.
No, that was Joe that was trying to grow as a human being.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't do that here.
I think to your point, Jamie, like, I do remember the first few times watching this, the beginning really dragging, and I 100% get what you're saying, Eli, because it is very like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You just want him to get to the cool shit, right? Like, I don't care about the setup, but like this time around, I feel like more invested in the, was it Brody and Medina? Like, yeah, I could watch literally like a spin-off Hallmark movie with those two, like,
you would exactly
like,
but that's what I'm saying, like watching Brody and just his interactions, like I didn't mind that it was slow. Watching him do the fucking D&D game, just watching him do anything in the whole beginning of the movie is like, I was enjoying it. Them filming the fucking video, guys, like, I know we'll talk about it again.
I could watch like a Netflix series of just him being put into this family and like having to deal with
exactly. So it is slow. And I found myself saying, shit, I thought this like was more action packed. Like I thought this went balls to the wall right away, but I didn't mind it because I found these like interactions just funny and adorable.
I mean, I did enjoy when they were sitting on, like, I mean, like
bench scene, that
bench, because like when she's like naming those albums, and like, because I remember there were times growing up where like I'd be playing like a Chiodo song or something out loud. People would be like, that's devil music. I'm like, oh no, the song's about like the best day of their life, and they're like, they're screaming, and I'm like, no, but like you gotta stay like it's like that. I like that's cracked up. And so I don't mean the whole beginning. There's just like parts I'm like, all right, let's go. I'm ready to see some dildo swinging and chainsaw twirling.
Yeah, sure. You may look at the face of the album and it's a cow with its guts falling out of its ass, but that's not what the song's about.
Right.
I've seen them. I've seen them live. Cattle decapitation.
So this is a movie that I've watched 3 or 4 times because it is a fun background movie. It is one that I didn't know about until I heard, to Joe's point, till I heard the Bloody Good Horror Crew do a review of it, and I looked it up, and I think it was Netflix. It was one of the streaming services had this and was promoting it pretty heavy for that October season because I think
it was Netflix. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because Joe, to your point earlier about the Lords of Chaos book, I think Lords of Chaos, the movie, came out the exact same year, didn't it? Didn't they come out the same time?
Did it? I know it was like delayed for years. And
no, Lords of Chaos came out 2018.
Oh, was it 18? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was a little more recent for sure.
Okay.
But anyway, I think to your point, like it was finished years before and like
everybody knew it existed.
Yeah.
So, but, and we talked about this on the Scouts Guide. This is the scale that movie should have been. It's a fun little indie movie. It has that Raimi feel of he's got 2 nickels to rub together. He's trying to make it work. But to the point that everybody's made, the gore, every dollar he had shows up on the screen. Like it's pretty quality, even to the fact that, yes, the blood is not realistic, but that's the friggin' point. It's like day glow red blood in these really pretty realistic gore scenes of, the bones sticking out and the meat and the ligaments and everything are very real. And then you have this like Technicolor red blood gushing out of the wounds, which is really effective. And yes, it is very Evil Dead. I would also say it's also very Brain Dead, which is Peter Jackson, who was same kind of culture. He's a New Zealand guy too, but a lot of his gore was very similar to this too. And it was sort of slapsticky as well, kind of like this movie is. It does certainly feel like a passion project. And this guy has pooped his pants socially on social media and stuff like that. I totally get that as a human being, but you could tell that this is a culture. And Joe, I think you made the point. A lot of times when metalheads are put into something, it's obviously done by a Hollywood producer who doesn't have a clue about the culture and really isn't the point of why they're putting him in. They're putting him in to be the danger factor of a plot. But this guy, it genuinely feels like he is part of this culture and he's celebrating it as much as at the same time he gets the goofiness of it. Like he's celebrating metal culture while also saying, yeah, some of it's really dumb. And you've got to be up for that too. You've got to accept that there are some goofy aspects of like when Brody's like, he's so frustrated about the band name has to be right. And you've got to say everything the correct way or the metal way. You can't sound weak or wimpy or any of those kind of things. And he's like giving himself anxiety, trying to figure out the best way to put on the persona of this guitar front man for the Deathgasm band. So I enjoyed that he was talking through all of that. And my background with metal is I would never have called myself a metal person. I liked a lot of what was called, or what we called, redneck metal, which was AC/DC and the Razor's Edge years, Metallica, Megadeth, Iron Maiden, those kind of things. So I was never into the real metal, the black metal, to what Joe said, the Norwegian stuff. But even that, you kind of embrace the music because it gave you permission to tell everybody, I don't want to fit in, or I'm not trying to be your friend. It was kind of a outward way of saying to a high school group that I am not interested in your football and your all of that other stuff. Please leave me alone. But that's my overall thoughts on this movie. The characters are thin, but I don't think that's the point. I think anybody who tries to really read this as a classic plot-driven movie kind of is missing out on kind of what he's doing with this. I do like, and I want to talk about this a little further with you guys, is I like how unlikable Zach is written. Like he feels more real because he really is a dick. Like he's a really self-focused person. And he's not and it's not like he's doing that as a bit. That's legit who you get the sense this guy is. And I really enjoyed that he was written unlikable in that way. But anyway, the only other dynamics I would talk about is some of it feels contrived in the fact that I wish Medina was more of that culture instead of being sort of the rebel Barbie who then gets converted into seeing what metal can do and how powerful it can be. It would have been cool if she was from the get, like more involved in that culture, because obviously that would have felt a little more.
The only thing I would counteract with your thing, I enjoyed it because like when I was in high school, like I said, there was like 7 of us, and whenever like we date somebody, to see them start wearing like Black Veil Brides or like Chiodos or whatever, like our hoodies, the next thing you know, they got their black skinny jeans, and like, so like I don't know, like I thought that I think a lot, it's like, I think it's probably why like I forgive a lot of this movie, because like it's like, oh, it's just reminds me of high school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear Eli humble brag that he dated in high school?
I did. He's like, yeah. Well, listen, I didn't want there to be any questions, so also drove a car. So.
You apparently were not true metal, Eli. All right.
Whoa, listen. Whoa. Hey, how dare you? Okay. I was not true metal.
Your focus was compromised.
Some of us lived the life. All right.
Well, hey, listen, I just lived a different life.
I do appreciate that you pretty much just said you enjoyed the process of seeing somebody become institutionalized by what you were doing.
Well, yeah. But the other thing too, like, was kind of crazy is like even just see like somebody who like would never, like, especially like where I lived, everybody was like, I listen to my country music and my square dances and shucks and jives. And then like you see them, they start like, you kind of like the process when people like think, oh, well, just listen to this. This isn't, like just listen to this. And then next thing you know, like they went to Warped Tour and stuff. So like I always thought that was kind of cool.
Now, Eli, I can celebrate anybody's culture, like your experience, your human experience, but I'll be damned if I'll sit on this podcast and let you bad talk the legacy and history and importance of square dancing.
Listen,
that is a bridge too far, my friend.
Listen, I'm just going to tell you this. There's a many of my nights. Let me just tell you right now. There's a many of my nights that I had to go to those fucking things and help park cars so that the elderly people could walk in. And then after standing out all there, I would then go inside and have to sit there and listen to 4 hillbillies who didn't know how to play an instrument while a bunch of old people were. I hated it. I hated it with every part of my being. And I will not sit there and have you tell me that I can't feel that way. So
you can just do-si go at this point.
Wow. You know what?
This is what breaks the podcast apart, huh?
Yeah, square dancing.
Well,
do they still do that like in schools? Like I know I had to do it all the way through high school.
In schools? I do not think so.
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah, music class I had to do.
It was awful.
All of our things we had to do. It was terrible.
I think it was
part of the ballroom dancing.
It was gym, but I want to say from like 3rd grade all through until I graduated my senior year, we had a unit of square dancing every year.
No way. I refuse to fucking believe this. No.
They stopped at middle school for me. I didn't have to go through high school, but I had that experience.
I did not have to do this.
You know why, Eli? Because it's important.
It's not. It's not important. It was not important. When I was in middle school, every year for like music, we had a teacher who like her whole thing was just dances. So like what was that, box step or whatever from like Broadway, like the 4 box step or whatever that like basic dance is, square dancing. Like she would just find, like it got to the point where like some of the ones she do were like, oh, she just saw that on like somewhere weird. She doesn't really know what it is, but she thinks it's funny watching a bunch of like middle schoolers try to do it because like she never did it. And like I remember like every like so many rotations we'd go back to square dancing. Normally it was around the time of a square dancing event coming up, and we thought she just did it for practice and just made us all do it with her. She was the worst.
And you guys all had a lambada though, right? Like
no, guys, can we please go back to this movie? I'm over this dancing in school conversation.
I'll just say, and I get it, Eli. I understand your saltiness over it because you've told me too much. I can picture it in my mind that you're excited. You've got your bootcut jeans on or your overalls, your pressed cowboy shirt. You show up at the barn and they say, no, Eli, we need you to park trucks.
Get out there and park. Yeah. When you want to be out there boot scooting.
That's what
I can
all
see
of
why
us
you're
Giants had
angry.
to
I
do.
get it. Not everybody has it, Eli. I understand.
To get somewhat back on track, I did think your point, Dave, about the dynamic between Zach and Brody and like the Zach character.
Mhm.
I did kind of appreciate that. Yes, Zach is a dick, but at the end, and I guess this is a spoil, like I don't want to give anything away, but like
Don't we spoil everything? Go for it. We don't.
They were still friends at the end, right?
Mhm.
Because you kind of, the way that this starts off is because like Zach Medina is dating Brody's cousin or whatever. And, there's obviously chemistry between Brody and her. But then at one point, Zach kind of swoops in. And from there on, you're expecting like, all right, Zach's this asshole who's going to like dick over Brody.
Wreck
and like
everything,
just
yeah.
some extent he does. But then, they do. And Brody finds out and, they obviously have a little bit of a tiff. But like they still become friends and they're still friends at the end, which I thought was like kind of a nice choice rather than just having them fight and then go their separate ways. And like Zach becomes like the demon and like that's it. Like, no, at the end of it, like, and even I don't know if you watched all the way through the credits, there's like a little extra where Brody's talking to Zach through the record player, asking him like what hell is like. And Zach's
It's
like,
pretty cool.
Yeah. So I kind of like that they went like a little different than just making Zach the asshole that ends up, turning on everyone.
No, I agree. And I think the thing that probably made it endeared to me is because, like I said, it felt real because, again, these are all kind of broken people. And Brody fully recognizes that Zach's the coolest friend he'll probably ever be capable of having. And they like need each other. They both need each other. It's not like they have 100 friends. They have each other. So even in these like really terrible low points, they realize I want this friendship because it's one of the very few that I can really.
They really like need, right? Like they're the only two in this town that have remotely similar interests.
Exactly.
So it's like, all right, like I'm either gonna, hang out with this guy or just not do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
And to the point of what Brody does, I mean, and that doesn't mean that I have to accept you as an asshole. When you do asshole things, I'm going to call you out on it.
That's what friends do.
Exactly.
Well, what's nice too is like they kind of would
son of a bitch.
Yeah, you motherfucker. And also, I would say too, what they did, which is the right choice. To Joe's point is, they almost did the Evil Dead route, where like, yeah, you have like kind of like your drama stuff like that, but none of it was too heavy or taken too seriously. So that way, the absurdity that was going around it just seemed weird, and like it just made everything feel. Everything just jived better, but it wasn't just like, oh, well, this is like a serious fight now. Will they ever get together? Meanwhile, like just a scene ago, you had people beating the hell out of each other with dildos and like anal beads. Like it's so like I think they definitely made the right choice by going at that route. Like almost like said how Evil Dead and like Army Darkness all that took it. Like they weren't gonna like get too up their butts about it.
Yeah,
Right.
they don't dwell on it because I can't stand when the movie either dwells on drama in a movie like this. Like you said, that's so silly, like doesn't need it.
Right.
But also I can't stand in any movie. This goes for a drama. Like I can't stand the misunderstanding / miscommunication that goes too far. And like I was very happy that right away he knew Zach showed up. Zach fucking fucked with this girl when he should have. And they take care of it in 2 seconds later because like it's so dumb to bring up but it's like I hate when that shit just expands to like, oh, there's this whole miscommunication.
Drama,
And when are they going to find out that the other one knows? And it's just like, as soon as he gets there, he knows. He's like, okay.
I get
And
that.
it's
Yeah,
over.
I find it infuriating too.
It's
where,
so
like,
infuriating.
There's a whole theme through an entire movie that could just be cleared up with saying like 3 words.
Like saying something to each other instead
like
of
a normal human conversation, but instead, no, this like drags out. Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Especially in a situation where like literal fucking demons are like all around you murdering people and trying to murder you, and you're like, but you stole my girl.
like we didn't need that for more than 2 seconds. It worked.
Right.
It worked how it did, and it was over and done.
Yep.
I will say this viewing the whole record executive or whatever hell those guys were felt very unneeded. Like, and I don't remember thinking it as much the other times I've watched that, but like every time they popped up in this time, I was like, oh yeah, like this is still a thing. And like to your point, Jamie, like it is one of the funniest scenes in the beginning.
Oh my
where,
God,
like,
the
they cut off
tarp,
the head.
the
Yeah.
tarp on the rug.
But they're like towards the end where they pop up and it's like kind of the everything coming to a head. I was like, oh yeah, this is still a part of this. Like these guys are trying to do something. Like,
but it adds nothing. I agree.
It
It's one of
adds
the questions
absolutely
I had.
nothing.
I think you could, if you edited it all out, it would have zero impact, like on the story.
It would, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anything they do really moves the story forward at all, really,
Right.
except I guess they rip up the pages, right? But that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
They like
No.
He had a beef with the music industry and music corporates. That's the only reason they're in.
Yep.
yeah, because it serves no other purpose.
They literally could have just been like, they're cult guys. Everybody been like, oh, okay. Like that's all we needed.
Yeah.
Put cult on their t-shirt.
Yeah, if you went directly to Zach getting possessed and that's what you have to battle with for the like act 3 of the movie, I'm totally okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
That would be because that would kind of draw in a lot of that, him being a prick all the way up to that point. And then you have this epic showdown.
because it is like a very straightforward, like 80s or even 90s, like horror movie, right? Like the misfits do something weird that like brings about a demon, and there you are. Like, what's that movie, The Gate? Like, you know, very similar. You know, I almost wish they had just played a record backwards or something. And that's what kind of popped everything up.
I mean, it is Evil Dead. It's Evil Dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
And a slightly larger cast, like you know.
I did kind of really like that song that like summons the demons too.
The
like,
ones that they play.
I would like to hear that. Like, it's very, you know, sort of doomy. Like, I'm into it.
Yeah, it's slower paced than I was expecting.
Yeah.
It hits hard.
It is.
So, and we'll start with John to get us over here. My favorite question each week of Camp Wicked Wild: favorite kill.
Deathgasm. Wow, favorite. I think actually there are a lot. I think my favorite kills are like the two sidekicks, Dion and Giles, because you don't expect it, like, because that's like usually not part of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
But like they just like, yeah, we're just gonna kill them right now because they don't matter, and they just like they're talking the whole time as they're being ripped apart, and it's pretty memorable.
It's fair enough. Yeah, their whole death is so like secondhand, like it's an afterthought kind of thing that happens, and you can almost see the reaction of the characters feeling that way, like what the hell's happening now? All right, Jamie, favorite kill.
I said both of mine, and they're not even because they're fun gore. They're just hilarious moments. So I guess I'm gonna pick the decapitation, just because that whole scene, and it's not the kill. I get that. And as someone who always goes for gore and crazy kills and whatever, that scene, like as I'm rewatching, I'm like, oh fuck this movie. This is why it's so fucking funny. I forgot. Like
like the two look at each other and they're like,
he's like, you ruined the rug with it. And then he goes, do it again. So they pick up the head.
Yeah.
And then
at first they're like, what does he mean? Do it again? Like, I don't know. I guess let's just go through the motions.
So it's just this scene. Like it's that scene. Like I'm not gonna pick like a kill. I just like that scene is probably my favorite in like the whole movie. It's just
Yeah, the fact that they make us watch the whole thing while they get the tarp out.
The guy's just like holding the head, and it's like, this is good. Better.
All right, Joe, what's your favorite one?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta go with Jamie, but the other one I really like was it the cousin, nephew,
that's
whatever.
That's my other one. Yeah.
When he walks in and he like cuts his head off, and he's just like, oh no, he was a demon. I'm like, it's so genius of like, this is going on. I might as well take advantage of these assholes that have been like bullying me for the past 3 weeks. And like, you know, they're probably going to die anywhere. So like, why don't I get the, enjoyment out of it?
And also because Brody is essentially such a nice guy. Like he is like, he's such a nice guy and he's getting picked on. The fact that he just runs right up to the cousin and just like,
there is like a big role reversal there, right? Because Zach is the one that's like, I don't think he was possessed. And he's like, oh, no. They definitely were. It's like, no, I don't think so. Yeah. So that one, like, it got me again this time.
Yeah, that's the best interaction between them.
It is so good.
All right, Eli.
I'm the same as Joe's, but like it's that whole like I love that's probably my favorite part of the movie. The whole time they're in that house, but like that whole part, like the minute leading up to that, because like he walks out of that room and he has the two demons 69ing, and he's like, well, I found him that way.
That's the way they work. Yeah.
That's the way they were. I found him that way or whatever. And then like there's like then the cousin walks in, he like that. I laughed so hard because like even like when he's sitting there, he's just like, yeah, I said the devil and stuff. He's like,
isn't that like right after Zach has to like kill his father?
Yeah.
And like, first of all, the sort of effects on Zach's father, where he's like holding the eyes.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was great. And then I do love at the end where he's like, I don't think he's going to walk this one off, man. Like, that's
he says you want to check his pulse or something like that. And he goes, he has an engine for a head. I
don't think it's, what is it? I think he says like, walk this one off.
Yeah, he said, I don't think he's going to walk it off. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good. Like some of the lines are so good. And then especially like they're in a New Zealand accent. I just can't.
That is, and not to harp on it, but like New Zealand accent, I feel is so like heartwarming and nice. It's almost like an old Scottish woman, like lulling you to sleep. Well,
there's two versions of it. There's like what they call it, like Peter Jackson. Like you can kind of hear it, but then they have what they call the Kiwi accent, which is like that real heavy. And like
if
that,
you're gonna get into like Lord of the Rings lore.
No. I'm just saying like the difference. Like
we're all turning this on. We're all
like somebody text me when he's done, and I'll come back.
That Kiwi accent, because it's like so quick and like almost sounds like a stuffed animal talking. Like I don't know how to describe it.
It's soft spoken.
Yeah, like like they say things like it almost always sounds like cheery, And that's like I said, the whole devil. I don't know what he's saying, but like it's like the most cheerful demon, but like not in an evil way, but like in like some kind of like storybook way. That ending, its accent just killed me.
The best example of that is when the math teacher finds Brody's sketchbook and starts going, "Oh, well, that's very in the accent. Is that me being defiled by the Satan? You're very talented." Just
right.
Picture of a man's head with dicks coming out of the sockets.
Steve, what's your favorite?
My favorite kill, and it's an odd one because I love the cousin one. I think as a set and the lines, that's the best part of this movie because it kind of sums up the whole movie. But as far as an actual kill, my favorite one is when they are prepping, when they're doing the A-team, like improvising all their weapons and putting all the stuff, and Brody grabs an electric drill and grotesquely tapes it to the head of his guitar. I'm like, what the hell is that supposed to do? And then he literally uses it to give an enema to the, Ricky Dagger's guy. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, at least they paid it off because he duct tapes this thing out at the end of his guitar. I'm like, you're never going to do anything with that. And then I'm like, I stand corrected, sir.
By the way, speaking of Eli, Ricky Daggers was in like 2 of the Lord of the Rings movies, like the Hobbits.
New Zealand has like
bring them up.
8 actors. They were all in all of the Lord of the Rings.
Wow.
They combined all of New Zealand and the BBC. That's how you cast the Lord of the Rings.
Now, Eli, did you catch the scene on the bench in the specific genre of metal he referenced that made me think of you?
Well, he names all of them. Screamcore, Fantasycore. Yeah.
No. Well, I had the subtitles on, and he specifically says Mordor Core.
Oh, did he talk about Mordor Core? A lot of people don't know about that. Yeah.
Is that even a thing?
It's a subgenre of fantasy core.
That means it's one band.
Yes.
How dare you? It's more than one band. I can't remember their name.
There's
like a band. They all dress like orcs and Uruk-hai.
I found a list of the top 10 Mordor core bands.
Do you know any of them?
I'm not even being a dick, Eli. The page is blank. There's nothing on it.
I can't. I have to look. But there's one.
Like none. He's like, here's the list.
They were together. They were together for like 2 or 3 years.
And you have reached the end of the internet.
They broke up because like the lead singer.
This was a test and you failed.
No, there was like one band. They all dressed like Uruk-hais and orcs and stuff.
What?
And they would sing.
I've never been more happy to not know what you're talking
I
about.
was about to say I don't want to know more about this.
Christopher Lee, Christopher Lee did a heavy metal album. You're about to learn. He did 2 heavy metal albums.
One of them's a Christmas heavy
Christmas
metal.
one. Yeah.
One of them's Christmas, but a couple of the songs in his heavy metal albums about Lord of the Rings is like about like things involving the Tolkienverse. Hey, listen, Led Zeppelin, a lot of their songs were based off Lord of the Rings as well. So everybody knows it's cool.
Well, I don't really listen to them either.
How dare you?
See, once y'all have broken the seal, there's no.
Listen, it is
Can't get
my
the genie back in the bottle now.
shining place.
Your shining place.
It's my shining place.
I will say, this is totally unrelated, but it's related to the movie. It's unrelated to Lord of the Rings, thank God.
No, what cares then?
I was a little insulted as someone who only writes and types in lowercase when he made the statement that lowercase is for pussies. I was like, I only sign my name in lowercase. Come on.
Sorry, the rules are the rules.
I find it way cooler, and I hate using capital. Well, I guess they were talking about all capital. It had to be all capital.
Caps.
Yeah.
Or all but
I was kind of disappointed in Deathgasm's logo. It was way too legible. I mean, you could read that thing way too easy.
I don't know. That one title card, it made it veins. So they were bleeding. That was kind of hard to read.
What was it, like 3 months later or whatever?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I don't think anyone would have, been able to read that. But yeah.
And I don't know how I didn't catch this, but literally they burned hail satin into the grass.
Yeah.
Anyone catch that?
Yeah, they have. Yeah, I watched. I said out loud to my. I was like, "That's spelled wrong."
Hail satin. That was.
I remember, and I laughed because I remember. I think it was in middle school, and remember that was when you first started to rotate classes, so you didn't sit at the desk all. And I remember I wrote in pencil on my science desk or something hail satin because I thought it was Satan. And the next day I came back and someone had written, this is spelled wrong, right?
Shut up. No way. Somebody actually wrote that.
100%. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I bet it was some jerk that was dating too, Joe, just to rib salt.
Oh, probably. By that point.
Hey, listen, if you weren't cool enough, and you couldn't spell words, I can't help you.
Who was the drummer? The one who also played D&D? I made that guy look like suave in my middle school and high school years. So
now, am I just misremembering? Because I thought there was a little bit of dialogue when they did the music video in the woods where he complained about having to be the cat. Did I totally make that up, or was that? Because
I don't remember that.
I don't remember it.
That is a different movie.
Okay. I remember some.
Is that Role Models?
Role Models.
Yeah,
Role Models. They complain about being the cat. And John and I love that movie. So
that movie's so good.
It's so fun.
Boring movie, sorry. But I know anytime I see the Kiss cat makeup, that's what I think.
No, Role Models is so good, and that is what you're thinking of.
I'll agree with you there. I thought it was perfect that that's what he was, right?
Exactly.
Everyone's else evil and doing their thing, and then he's like, oh well, I guess this is what I'll be. This is evil, right?
Yeah. He saw one album, and the whiskers are going in 3 different directions on his face.
When they're doing the video, and then they cut, and you see him carrying the drums with him around too. He has to carry the drums through the woods, where that it's just it's so dumb and it's so great. I don't know. I actually think, and the more we talk, because this is what this movie is good for. It's it's silly. It's so goddamn silly. But I don't know. The jokes hit for me. Most of them. I don't they land.
And the big crescendo of their music video when the guy with glasses, the keyboardist, just starts jerking off the sword. That whole everybody gets uncomfortable all at the same time.
It's like that, and even that running joke where you tell a guy his willy's hanging out of his pants and you uppercut him. I crack up every time they say that, and then there's a payoff at the end when he actually does it. But that's that's the best advice my uncle ever gave me, or whatever. There's some good dick humor in this. There is some good dick humor.
The wiener.
It was perfect for Camp Wicked Wild, for sure.
And there's a wiener death. We didn't even talk about that. One wiener death. That's
with what I mean.
With a one-liner.
Whatever
you terrible one-liner.
Which I also may say of all the movies where they try to turn a weed eater into a weapon, using barbed wire for the string may be the best one
That's gnarly.
I've ever that's like just smart. That's just smart stuff right there. You know.
I mean, their weapons were better than the scouts' weapons, pretty much.
Oh, for sure.
Oh.
Yeah.
They
Other
knew how
than
to
the
build better
duct tape
than the
drill
scouts.
at the end of his guitar still makes zero sense to me.
Or doesn't make perfect sense.
It's for keeping
Apparently it
distance,
works.
Dave.
Yeah.
Like, so there's no close combat.
It's a little bit of an homage to Slumber Party Massacre 2.
Oh, the
The
second
drill,
one?
the
Oh,
drill,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you're right.
It is
You're
a
right.
drill bit at the end of his guitar.
Yep. And the,
Okay.
yeah,
Fair
drill
play,
guitar.
John. Fair play.
That is a good point.
Man.
Even
But
I'm
it is
now
that stupid in
remembering,
that
though,
movie.
It is very stupid in that movie. But like I'm also remembering now too, like this one, right? I'm thinking this movie, right? There's a chainsaw scene, but he can't start it. Like
Oh,
everything
yeah.
in this
Yeah.
movie, like he runs to the chainsaw and then it takes him literally like 10 or 15
there's the-
tries till he gets it going.
Well,
And even that's just fun. Like it's just
Well,
like,
there's even the joke because like when he comes back in to save them, and they're like she's giving him shit for like, so you wasted 15 minutes putting your makeup on.
oh
Where
yeah,
you couldn't save it. And then
so
yeah,
good
and
when
then
she's like-
before they leave, he couldn't get the chainsaw started. He just looks at her and goes, "Hey, can you give me a tug, a quick
Oh,
tug?"
yeah.
And she's like, "What?" And he's like, "Tug." He puts the chainsaw.
And the chainsaw, when he does start, he comes running in and he trips and then he throws it anyway.
No,
And like
yeah.
this sounds so dumb, but it just works in this
Mhm.
movie at all
Mhm.
time. Like, yeah, I forgot about her asking him about the makeup. It's so good because she's so deadpan
Yeah.
and he's
Mhm.
talking about Russia, whatever, coming back
Yeah.
to save them. And then she's just like, but you had time to put on, you had time to do your makeup.
Full corpse
Did you
paint.
stop and buy those juji fruits before you?
It's Seinfeld.
She's like, "Oh yeah, no, definitely, you look pretty." Like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. She's still,
So good.
and she's still deadpan. She's still
Yeah.
just like, okay.
I honestly, once I get that scene, like when they're in the house, like, or once they get his dad's and like flip forward, like to me, everything from there on is perfect. I think like now, as I continue to rewatch and stuff, it's just like there's parts I'm getting like, and there's parts I'm like, okay, and I think maybe it's just because I want to get to because it's like that roller coaster ride once you get that one spot, but everything from that point with the dad on is just gold. Man.
Hmm.
I mean,
And the
this is a
design of the
movie
possessed people, I mean, it's
Yeah.
a good design, man.
It's
pretty
good.
gnarly.
This is
For
a
sure,
movie I
yeah.
do recommend to people. Like I know we're talking about being slow, whatever, but like when people are just casually asking for something that they may not have seen just because it's lesser known than a lot of, and
Yeah.
it's comedy. So I mean, I preface with that, like I'll break things into genres. Like someone recently asked me for just like a bunch of stuff. And I said, okay, well, here's my list of some comedy things you may not have seen. And Deathgasm's always in there. It's just
Mhm.
like because again, it's an easy watch. It's a background watch, even
Yeah.
if you're like
But the
working or
stakes are
doing
so low,
something. Like
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so low. It's easy to follow along. It's just demon. I mean, it's just very easy to understand. So it's just like,
Right.
And
No,
it
I
is a
get that.
perfect October movie. That's what I realized in this last watching. It is a perfect October movie because it is all of everything we want to celebrate about this genre. Like, and it's all revolves around these like cultural misfits, like these people that just can't get out of their own way to get anything done. So
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
and to like your point earlier, or even asking me like whether my friends were actually like metal or not, we definitely were misfits in our school. And I went to a very big New York high school. So even for that, and I mean like thousands of kids in the school, you know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
for that much, there's not many of us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like things like this always hit a little bit special anyway, because it's just like you
Yeah,
had
and-
your group and that was it, because
That's the only people you talk to. Yeah.
weren't fitting in with anybody else.
Unless you had a Girl Scouts meeting that day and then you had
Fuck that shit. We've been through that.
Well, and I was, and it sounds like Eli was in a similar experience, and Joe too. But I was at the opposite end. I was from a very small high school, so in our group of 10 people, you had the skaters, the punks, the metal guys or the metal people, and those that were just like the LARP fantasy people. Like we only had each other because there were so few of us that we all kind of still needed a core pack to protect each
No,
other.
but same. That's what I'm saying, except I had giant group of people and they
Right,
still
exactly.
didn't. You know what I mean? So same. I mean, there were, but like, and you know, within that group, there is like you just said, like there was like the skaters who are more skaters, and then there, you know, whatever. But like,
Mhm.
it's just like it hits a special place as being an outcast
Yeah.
in high school and middle school and
being
whatever.
misunderstood.
Mhm.
And look how great
Still
we
am.
all turned
Still
out.
am. Yeah,
Top of the world, Mom.
Here we are ruling the world.
we're doing great, guys.
I'm on a podcast.
Joe,
What
you're
do
on
you think of
several
that?
podcasts, okay? To be fair, several.
Yeah, Joe, you're on several.
What do you think of that guidance counselor, Reynolds?
That'll show you, parking lot pixie.
Yeah,
Let's not forget her.
too soon.
I was wondering if that was going to come up tonight.
Always does.
It does. It does.
Every night when he closes his eyes to go to bed.
I
There
kind of
she comes.
thought about that when I was watching the movie. I'm like, oh man, there is a parking lot scene here where they're at the
Mhm.
store.
When they're at the
Mhm.
store and he goes, he goes,
Yeah, the
it's funny.
corpse eating ice cream is a great scene.
oh
That
my
whole
God,
scene
that's,
is so
I mean, it's no
Yeah.
wonder they use that as like the
Oh, it's
photo
everywhere.
on like
Yeah.
Netflix,
Mhm.
wherever. And I wrote down because like watching that scene, it feels like it's both my personalities just sitting next to each other. Because like Joe knows, like I have this
Oh, yeah.
love for Disney, and like you send me to an event, I will be like the girliest, like dressed up in the frilliest dress that I can, or I'm going to be in all black, hating my life.
Yeah.
going to the goth festival.
It's just
Yeah.
it's just like watching that scene. I'm sitting there just cracking up because I'm like, it's like me. It's my internal, my yin and yang sitting right there.
It is nice, like as you get older, because like the scenes where they're like, oh no, everything needs to be all caps and like that's not metal, like it hits home because that's what you do think like in
Mhm.
high school and like, you know,
Scared
maybe
to
even
death to be
after.
a fraud. Yeah,
But like to Jamie's point, like as you get older, it's like, oh yeah, like who gives a shit? Like I'm gonna watch these awful Adam Sandler movies and I can still go see cattle decapitation on Friday. And then like, you
And
know,
go to Disney World next
exactly.
weekend.
Yeah.
You can have all the flavors you want.
yeah.
I do kind of wish it's not important at all. And I know you each said your piece about it, but I personally wish she did not change at the end because I loved their little
Yeah,
like
I agree.
opposites thing.
Dichotomy. Yeah.
And I think she reads as fake at the end. Like I just don't like it.
Yeah.
Like she and
Yeah.
I liked
She's a
I liked when
poser.
I liked when she appreciated the metal. That was cute. Like, but I wish she would have stayed her and
I agree.
appreciated like the
100%
metal. It was
agree.
adorable that way. But seeing her at the end with the fucking really bad tattoo and like
The really bad
black-
tattoo.
the black extensions in her hair, and I was just like,
And she
oh
like
my
schools
God.
him on
Oh, that's the worst. That
Cannibal
was
Corpse.
the
It's like it's been 3 months, and by all means, I'm sure you can listen to music and enjoy everything. But it's just like now you know everything. It's
Yeah,
like
maybe take a breath.
I agree. I think I enjoyed Jamie, and you know maybe because it hits home to my wife and I, but like the dynamic of like the metal guy and
yeah, it's adorable. And like,
yeah.
if she would have still appreciated, like at the end, they were still like, whatever, eating ice cream again, but listening to it together, whatever. That would have been cuter than her in this fake, trashy looking, like,
yeah.
I'm all of a sudden, like I don't know.
Listen, I'm not gonna. Like I said, I'm not gonna lie. Like I like that, but at the same time, I can also agree that she did look like she's about ready to go film an episode of Jerry Springer.
Oh,
So,
yeah, she looked
you're not
terrible.
wrong.
She looked terrible at the end.
That or
Maybe if they
Mari
did that
Popovich, one of the
cuter-
two.
Yeah, if they did that cuter, so I don't know. She just read as so phony.
The tattoo.
Like-
the tattoo
Yeah.
is what really.
The tattoo was fucking brutal. I couldn't
Yeah.
even.
All she needed
and it
was
was
the
of
fabric sleeves.
herself, right?
I
Like
think it was herself as the battle. Like, I don't really
Yeah.
know as like the metal, like what she was thinking. Again, when she first listens to the CD, like that's kind of cute. And she's like, whoa, like that's cute. But her whole little transformation tacked
Yeah.
on at the end was like, they could have just been a cute opposites attract couple. It's like, you know.
nobody starts listening and then in 3 months is like all in on Cannibal Corpse, right? Like
No.
we've all like worked our way up
Yeah.
to, you know, like that's not like a day one thing.
You're saying you have to build up a resistance before you
Yeah. Yeah.
Listen, I still remember when you'd have people like, "Oh, I want to start." I'd be like, listen, like I remember like being like, start with Hawthorne Heights. Like you should start listening
Hawthorne
there.
Heights. They're an emo. They're like a pop punk emo band.
I know that's where we started. People.
Oh,
I was an emo kid. That's where we start. So you know,
Ohio is for lovers. Come on.
that's right. And so that's where we start. People like they're like, oh well, just start there. Start there. Start with this Hawthorne Heights. The My Chemical Romance. Okay, then we'll
Stop
get
throwing
you.
My Chemical Romance out there either. Come
Listen, I like them, but like that was they didn't scream as much.
No, well, My Chemical Romance. No. Oh, I fucking love My Chemical Romance. Sorry,
Well,
we're going on a.
I think we can all agree that the height of metal was when Donny Osmond put out his rock album. As long as we all
wow.
agree on that.
He has a rock. He
Sorry.
has one.
He does. He did.
Yeah, I'm not a metal person. That's why I'm.
Was it Dot or was it what the hell's his name? He was I know who you're talking about. Pat Boone. Didn't Pat Boone?
Yeah, sure did.
Well, you know who's coming out with one? I think in like the album gets released like a week or two.
Who?
Dolly Parton will be releasing her first rock album.
Oh, is that not out? I thought that was already.
Is it out already? Did I miss it?
I love Dolly, but
I love Dolly Parton.
It's not great.
You gotta love that she gets interred into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and then puts out her first rock album. Yeah. That's the way you do that.
Never sang a rock song in her life. But you know what? She is probably the last wholesome person on this planet. You put her wherever the hell you want.
And you know what, Eli? She friggin' loves square dancing.
Listen, not everybody's perfect. Not everybody's perfect. That's all I'm gonna say.
She said it literally is the one thing that made her the woman she is today.
What,
she's quoted that several times. Oh yeah.
Well, not everybody's perfect. People make mistakes.
And we forgive you, Eli.
I'm not going to hold that against her. And I still love Dolly Parton.
Got some trucks we need you to park, Eli. That's what I'm learning.
Son of a bitch. I just remember it almost looked like Clerks because it was me and my one friend. We were out there in our black jeans and our band shirts.
I almost wish you would go back to the Lord of the Rings
hair's
stuff.
A bit longer. Oh, you know what?
Oh, God.
Is that because you're afraid I might talk about my high school girlfriend again? You didn't have one? Boom.
So
boom.
The only question we haven't really covered yet that I was curious about, because it is something that within the genre has been discussed quite a lot in several communities, is, obviously the writer director of this, who is Jason Lee Howden. He has been trying to get a sequel made for this for the last 5 years.
Really?
Where are we on that? Are we?
I thought I saw that it was happening.
I don't think you need one.
I don't know.
Literally.
He's trying to kickstart one is what he's trying to do.
As I was kind of poking around, I think his last tweet was that a lot of people think this is happening. It is not. We need your help on the GoFundMe or whatever.
It has a name. It has a name, and it's called Gormageddon.
Yep. I have the Kickstarter pulled up. Their goal is they want to make the movie for $300,000. And they are currently at 166,000.
Oof.
And they have 12 days to go.
Ain't looking good.
So, the problem is he just effed himself over with it's outside, and it's a bummer because this movie was great. I think I never saw Guns Akimbo, but I'm sure it was fun.
I've heard decent things about it. I've been meaning to watch it.
Shut up because
that's the one with Harry Potter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard.
Wait, isn't my girl in that one?
It was pretty good.
Yeah, your girl enjoyed it.
My girl's in it, right?
Yeah,
I gotta watch it. Fuck.
Pretty good.
I feel like this guy could have had a James Gunn sort of.
If somebody just taking his damn phone away.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the stuff you can get for pledging, and none of it is worth what he's asking for.
Are there?
It's just interesting, I guess. Is it all him though? Because it's interesting because the horror community as a whole, Terrifier 2 was crowdfunded. You know what I mean? As a whole, the horror community is very, very open to helping everybody.
He has 934 backers.
Hmm. Well, I think the horror community is open to backing you if you're not a jerk.
A dick. Yeah, that's what I was asking. So it's all it's just his.
Yeah, I think it's him that people have an issue
people
with.
Won't. That's
his art form. Yeah.
They won't. Yeah.
It's tough, right? Because even as I was watching this, I'm it kind of taints things. So, which is unfortunate because it's a fun movie.
I didn't know till after, so I didn't let it.
Yeah, not everybody's Sam Raimi or Peter Jackson, apparently. And I'm sure they're not saints, but at least
but till we hear otherwise.
We're going to start a couple of rumors real quick on Sam Raimi and Peter Jackson.
Whoa, don't you dare get Peter Jackson's name out of your mouth.
See, I was going to say Sam Raimi. I don't give two shits about Peter Jackson.
Nah.
Yeah.
He fucked up Doctor Strange, so not very happy with him.
He did.
He did. That one was right.
That was not good.
You think those are offensive? You should see those movies that Peter Jackson put out.
Are you talking about the ones that won the most Oscars?
I don't remember the name, but
it's long.
I think
it's really long.
I think the Academy would disagree with you.
The same academy that like gave Avatar.
I was going to say, are we taking our advice from the academy?
The academy.
Like that doesn't count. That was after the fact.
I don't remember the names. I just remember there's a lot of walking and like elves. I don't know.
Some
Search
stuff
2 did
happened
say it
on
best.
those walks. Some stuff happened on them walks. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
I fell asleep.
I'm still not convinced
Yeah.
Eli's read or seen the movies. He's made some references. on
Amazing.
I'm not sure if Eli watched this movie or he
No, he
watched
hates
like the
ants.
second one or the third one.
Listen. First off, I did watch this movie. There's only
There's
one.
only one.
Okay? There's only one. Secondly,
sequel.
did you say I hate ints? I love ints.
That's not my memory from your own campfire tales, but not something we're going to really.
Yeah,
really
let's,
get to, so. But fun fact, and we were talking about some of the actors in this movie who did work in the Lord of the Rings stuff. But you know the series that most of the actors have in common, because it's a New Zealand based.
Play the Concords.
Power Rangers.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
So both Brody and what's the lead girl's
Medina.
and the baddie, the female baddie of the corporate music industry, they're all from Power Rangers.
Wait,
Really?
Which makes a lot of the physicality, a lot of the slapstick physicality. It makes a lot of sense because that's where
That's
they
funny.
came from. So
I'm look at this guy. I loved me some.
Brody
Which
was
ra-
from RPM.
Oh, I have no idea
Power
what that
Rangers
is.
RPM, and then
I don't
Medina
like
was
Power
from the
Rangers
classic. She was from the third season of the classic
Interesting.
Power Rangers. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious. That this is like Power Rangers goes to hell kind of thing.
I dig it.
Any other thoughts on Deathgasm, or have we said our piece? It's a good movie. It's like we said, it's low stakes. It's non-offensive while being incredibly offensive. So you just have to have the right mindset.
I still recommend it. I think I recommend it to a lot of people because I don't
same.
recommend it as a fourth watch, but I think as a first, we've all enjoyed it. Like the first time, I still enjoy it. But I'm saying mostly everybody here said like on the first watch, I thought it was really good. You know what I mean? So it's like maybe it's not worth being on the fourth like I am, but I still enjoy it. So, but
yeah, I think it's a good one too in a group, right? Because
For sure.
I watched this by myself, and I feel like now as we're talking about it more, I'm having more
enjoying
fun with it. But like, yeah.
Well, and Jamie, what would you have to know about somebody before you recommended this movie to them? Like, would you?
I don't. I think I recommend it to a lot of people. I mean, I think
And if it offends them, it offends them.
What if they're looking for horror? Sorry,
Yeah.
I only recommend horror to people looking for horror. I don't really ever recommend horror to anybody not looking for horror.
And this has the classic.
And I don't think,
beats,
to be honest, I don't think anybody's asked me for an opinion on a movie that's not horror. So,
Mhm.
no, I just generally, it's one of my general recommendations. Like as just like, here's, like I said, here's the comedy bucket. Like I recommend this, Tucker and Dale, things that like, obvious, I recommend like What We Do in the Shadows and Cabin in the Woods and like those things. But like sometimes it's like a little bit lesser. Like, okay, I've seen Cabin in the Woods. What else? And then it's just like when we're talking comedy,
That's
this
weird.
is one I throw in there.
The ones I always recommend are Hereditary and Antlers. And
Oh, you suck.
See what you're doing now.
but see, I don't like people, so maybe that's color recommendations.
Could be.
Do you recommend Antlers so that they jump off a cliff and never watch another movie again? Is that why you recommend that one?
I
Could
warm
be.
the waters with Hereditary and see how they do after that one.
Fuck Hereditary. Fuck Midsummer. Fuck all of them.
Not a one of those that Jamie would watch voluntarily again.
Nope.
So,
Thank you.
as you can expect, or as probably doesn't surprise anybody on the podcast, there is not a Dave's Critter Corner unless I wanted to talk about demons. There wasn't an animal really.
There was not one animal in this?
I couldn't. No, I
I'm thinking. Not that I know.
No, I can't think of anything either.
Just the demons. So we don't have a Dave's Critter Corner this week. So I'm going to hand off to Joe to tell me a little bit more about Small Town Failing and what all you've got going on there, and anything else you want to promote here in spooky season.
Smalltownfailingpodcast.com is the website. And full episodes every other week, either talking about a Hallmark movie or Lifetime, like some of the more stabby things on there. I just released an episode with the two hosts from the Vanderpump Rules Party podcast where we watched Amish Stud, which was like a Lifetime ripped from the headlines movie. But then, we're just about to get through Halloween and there's going to be all the Hallmark Christmas ones coming up. So, it's a thing. So, new episodes every other Monday. And then every other Monday in between, I just have like a small 7 to 8 minute what's coming up on next. But smalltownfailingpodcast.com. You can find all those socials and episodes and YouTube videos and all that fun, and Cameo if you want a gift for that special.
You're still doing that?
I hardly get any anymore, but like I do get random ones.
I have one, so one of the longest in the history of Joe's cameos.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're like $3 and you get your money's worth because
you do.
It's literally like my therapy session where I just ramble for like 12 minutes sometimes about nothing. So
it's all in love.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I am concerned that I aligned so much with Eli on this movie. After
remember last time when we were like, you know what I mean? And this time it's like we're
last time I hung up and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
And now you're like, him and I are one.
Yeah, like I'm a little nervous.
Listen, Joe, I've accepted it by now that Eli and I are on the same wavelength, so you'll get there.
I appreciate all the Lord of the Rings talk because it like kind of brought me back down. Like, okay, I still have like
agency. You still have
say what you want.
Great God.
Just go look up those undersea pearls. That's what you need to do now, Joe.
Pearls, egg pearls,
Yeah, that's what they're called.
So, Joe, to a point you just made, and because I know you're the spirit that you bring to this, and it's important as spooky season is already winding down. A lot of us are already feeling the Christmas spirit. But if you could, just real quick, for both Jamie and Eli, if you could just give them a special Christmas wish.
No. Jamie and Eli are going to shut this shit down right now.
Yeah. I mean, I think Hallmark starts their countdown like a week before. Yeah, Halloween. Like it's getting close. Like it's almost there. And then, I mean, I think, Dave, we've talked like November 1st, I am out there taking down the Halloween decorations and putting up the Christmas lights.
And so is Eli. He doesn't know it yet, but he is.
Every year, and I grumble the whole time.
I kind of have like this tradition where like we do a lot, like we decorate the house a lot. Like I post a lot of pictures, so you may have seen. Like we go all out for Halloween, and usually I'll play like spooky music or something out the window. And then my like tradition is around like 8 after like everything's kind of stopped, I start playing Christmas music out of the house, which comes out like super creepy because there's all like our little demons and stuff all over the yard. But then there's like, have a holly jolly Christmas playing out like the window. Like I feel it works well, but like it's a nice transition.
You're killing me inside right now.
No.
Well, I'm not going to say that Joe is literally heralding in Christmas each year for all of us, but I'm not saying that.
It is. I love it. I remember last year, like one of my neighbors who I'm friends with texted me. He's like, is that Christmas music like blaring out of your house? I'm like, it's a thing, man.
Welcome to the neighborhood. So, Eli, why are we following up Deathgasm on Campfire Tales?
Well, this is probably the most heavily dicked movie that we talk about.
There's a couple of references
this month. The Campfire Tales is the biggest dicks. So I thought, what better than to do someone who claimed to have the biggest dick and is referenced a lot in heavy metal music videos or in songs. So this week we're going to talk about Rasputin.
Mr. Rasputin.
Yep. His dick is actually in a museum, they believe. So there you go. We'll give you more info about that on the Campfire Tales.
Can't wait.
Yay.
Well, thank y'all for listening again this week for week 4 again of Camp Wicked Wild. We've got one more week coming, and it's actually literally a Halloween week. So be looking for that next week. If you enjoyed the show, we do ask that you subscribe, rate the show. We want to thank Joe one more time for coming in.
Thank you. Who's the next one? Can you say who the next guest is, or is that?
It's Caitlin. Our buddy Caitlin.
Okay.
She's winding us out. It was she actually opened us last year in Camp Wicked Wild, so she's our big finale this year. So
we reversed both the open and close. We did Jeff also.
Oh,
Jeff closed us out last year, and Jeff opened us this year.
Yep.
That's all.
Is the closing out? Is that the best? Is that what I should be aiming for?
Yeah, you'll get there, Joe.
Huh.
Yeah. Next year it'll just be all Joe.
Yeah.
You're all,
Everyone.
5 weeks of Joe.
3 years from now, I want it to just be me with none of you here. I don't know. I watched the Deathgasm again.
We'll pay you $3 to do it.
I will say the Texas Chainsaw remake episode though is still one of I like that episode. So that was.
Well, and so does our audience. One. You are and it's obvious in the analytics. You are a crowd favorite with our audience, Joe.
Wow, the 30 to 40 people that listen to mine. Like, if you can even get half of that audience over here,
we'll double ours.
Yeah.
Hey, how surprised they'll be when they find out we're basically the same person.
See what you did, Joe.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I'm scared. Yeah, I'm not coming back next year. Like, I'm scared that
you say that, but you'll be
Eli
back.
and I are going to be finishing other sentences.
We wear the same shirts.
You know what? I don't really care for square dancing either. No.
There's something to that jetpack story in Peru.
Mm-hmm. I was just telling my wife about the egg pearls the other day.
That might be a step too far.
Yeah.
If you want to learn about the podcast, you can always go to our website, thewickedwild.com, where we have book reviews and movie reviews, a special section from Joe Ferry, where he talks about some independent regional cinema that he's writing articles for. Got some merch on there. Both John and I are wearing this year's Camp Wicked Wild themed shirt. We got our hot dogs on our chest because we're
that's what she said.
Just that creepy. At this age, a couple of men with long beards and hot dogs blazoned across their chest. You know, what could possibly go wrong?
Nothing.
Speaking of tattoos, you guys should get that.
Oh, it's already done.
Tramp stamps.
It's more of a lower thigh area.
Right next to SpongeBob.
Yep.
He was cool.
He's still relevant.
Yeah.
And then if you want to follow us on social media, you can do that on Twitter at Wicked Wild We Are, Slasher, which is the horror only community, at Wicked Wild We Are, or on Instagram at Wicked Wild Pod. You can also see our smiling faces on YouTube. If you consume your podcast or your movie reviews on YouTube, you can always find us there at the Wicked Wild Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, anything you want to send in, you can send me an email at podcast@wickedwild.com. That's all I've got. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about? Anything that's exciting? Well, thanks to all my regular hosts. Thanks to Joe.
Thank you.
Little piece of wisdom I'll leave you with this week is if you can't enjoy Mother Nature, you're going to have a really hard time with Father Time. Have a good night.